There we go. Welcome, everyone. Before we begin today's program, we have a few housekeeping announcements. You will receive your MCLE certificate shortly after the program ends. So there's no need to ask about that during the program. It'll be sent automatically. In addition, your certificate will be stored in your BHBA Plus archive, our members-only community. Please take a moment to complete the survey that's included with your certificate. It's very helpful. This program will also be available in a few days in BHBA On Demand, BHBA's newest member benefit presented by Lawyers Mutual Insurance Company. As an S, I'm up at the end of January. I will be diving into that headlong in a few weeks. So now on to the program. Sarah Tetlow is the CEO and founder of Firm Focus, where she focuses on productivity consulting for attorneys and other busy professionals. Sarah is also the creator of ART, that's with 2 T's, trademarked, email productivity system and course, which she will be discussing with us today. Sarah, thank you for speaking with us, and over to you.
Awesome. Thanks so much for the warm introduction, Dean. And I am so thrilled to see the participant numbers racking up, getting higher. This is such a crucial topic, especially for overwhelmed lawyers, that big pain point of email. And so I'm thrilled to have all of you here in the middle of December to tame that email beast. What that tells me is you are prioritizing yourself right now. And so I'm happy to be on this journey with you and help you tackle that email beast. So I want to just give a couple expectations before I dive into the program. There is about 40 minutes of content. I'm going to run through it, and what you can expect to learn from this presentation today is, well, what ART stands for. That's the crucial aspect of the ART system. But what ART is, how to apply ART to your inbox. And I will also demonstrate ART is available as a course, which I will talk about as well. It's about learning the core concepts of ART, which is platform agnostic. In fact, I want to kick off with a quick poll. I want to know, for those in the room, these are the 2 top ones are what I normally see, but sometimes others as well. What do you use for your work email? So we've got Microsoft Outlook, G Suite, Gmail, and Apple Mail, or something else. And that could be Yahoo, could be Hotmail, could be AOL, could be Smart Human. So if you want to take a second to vote, and I'm going to show primarily what I do show will be an Outlook, but ART, like I said, is platform agnostic. What ART is, it's about behavior change. This is about connecting your human habits to the technology to mitigate some of that stress and overwhelm that you might experience because of your inbox. Okay, so I'm going to end the poll. You want to jump in and get your answer in quickly. Otherwise, we got a pretty good response rate there. And I am not surprised to see 76% of my friends today use Outlook. Outlook is my top choice for email platforms as well. However, again, platform agnostic. If you are my Gmail user or Apple or other, you're still going to learn how to finally tame that email beast today. Okay, so picture this. You wake up in the morning, and one of the first things you probably grab is your phone, and you probably click into your email. And you start tapping into a couple messages, and maybe you see one that you go, oh, this is really important. I have to remember to reply to this later, but you're just not in the mindset to reply to that email right now. Maybe you even mark it as unread or you flag it. And then when you finally do arrive at your desk or your laptop or your computer, you boot it up, and one of the first applications you are probably opening up is your email. And there you're starting to triage some messages. Maybe you are flagging some, replying to some, deleting some, looking at some, and not actually doing anything with that message. And you start to think about all of the things on your to-do list, whether there's a piece of paper next to you on the desk, or your brain just starts to remind you of all those things you need to do. You got that research assignment, you got to call that one client back, you need to reply to that one email, You've got to write that memo or that opinion.
Sarah, it
And
looks
you
like
go,
we lost audio.
oh, that's not good.
Oh,
My audio?
there we go. It's back. Yes, you're back.
Okay.
You're back. Okay, sorry about
Sorry
that.
about that. That's okay. Thanks for letting me know, Kathleen. Do I need to go back and say anything?
Maybe if you want to recap the last 10 seconds.
Sure. For those just joining, we just had an audio issue. This happens. But I was just setting the scene for that overwhelm that you get when you finally open your Outlook each day or your inbox and you start managing it. And you have that number one thing you need to work on. So after procrastinating a little bit with some email, you finally go, okay, that's it. I've got to get started on that research. I've got to get started on writing that brief. And the next thing you know, Outlook or Gmail pops up and you have a calendar invite for an appointment in 15 minutes that you completely forgot about. And now all of a sudden, you still have lots of emails to manage. You haven't started that number one project. You have some last minute prep to do for that meeting. All of this aggravation, and it's not even 10 a.m. So why do we care about taming that email beast? Why are you here today to take care of yourself? Well, the problem with email is that it was first introduced in the 1970s as an asynchronous way to communicate internally. By the 1990s, it was more widely used, and today it is the number one way in which we communicate and collaborate with others. Despite some of the other technology and software we have available to us, many of us are still comfortable with emailing as our number one form of communication. We email with colleagues, we email with clients, prospects, vendors, families, friends, and the amount of emails we get have become so overwhelming. We have to work way too hard to prioritize emails. And of course, you can get an exclamation point or a down arrow when we're talking about Outlook, but that's the sender's indication of how they would prioritize that email, not necessarily how you would prioritize that email. And so we are constantly physically and mentally organizing, triaging, prioritizing messages. And maybe you rely on things like flags for Outlook or stars for Gmail, or that marked as unread. But what you've probably also discovered is that it doesn't always work. We might mark something as unread to say, this is really important. I need to remember to read it later. And so I want it unread, therefore bold, therefore it comes back into my orbit when I'm at my desk in an hour. But sometimes we hover over those emails and they accidentally get marked as read, and then we forget about them. Or the flags, maybe you're using flags to indicate that number one email you've got to read today or respond to. But maybe you're also using flags because you need something back from somebody and you don't want to forget. And so we misuse the technology, which contributes to our stress and overwhelm. We're going to change that today. So my name is Sarah Tetlow, and my company is Firm Focus. I worked in law firms for 15 years before I created my business because I wanted to help more lawyers and legal professionals with time management issues. So specifically, I deal with project management, task management, time management, attention management, and ultimately email management. So I deal with all of the time management issues such as distractions, interruptions, procrastination, analysis paralysis, Parkinson's law, anything that has to do with how to get the right things done and maximize efficiency and your time. And that led to the creation of the ART email productivity system, which is what you're going to learn about this afternoon. This was because I kept recognizing that my clients had a huge pain point, which was email. They would leak so much time and revenue on managing their inbox. And in fact, ART was born in early 2020 as a result of a group session I was leading when I pulled up my inbox and someone said, oh my gosh, what is this masterpiece? And confused, I was like, it's my inbox. And they're like, no. Our inbox don't look like that. That is calming. That I feel like I have control. That I feel like I wouldn't waste time in email. And so it led to the creation of ART. So as I mentioned in the beginning, I asked the room if you were primarily an Outlook or a Gmail user. And the ART email productivity system from soup to nuts. So what you're getting today, you're going to get the core concepts of ART, which I will show, but the entire course is available in both Outlook and Gmail, which takes you from the behavior change into implementation, as well as touching on other boss moves like the calendar, rules, quick steps, quick parts, and a resource library available within the course itself. All right, so I want to ask another question here. How much time would you say you waste on email each day? So this is obviously very subjective. You have to just ask yourself, how much time do I waste? And one of the ways you might answer this is, I worked 10 hours, I billed 6. How much of that 4 hours was on email? So I'm going to give you guys a moment to answer this poll question. And then, of course, I will share it with all of you so you can see how much time people on average waste on email. Give it a few more seconds. I see we have almost everyone has answered. Like, oh, yeah, I easily waste an hour is what some of you might be thinking. Okay, so I'm going to, now for most of you in the room are lawyers, or at least work in the legal profession. So yeah, we can talk in terms of 6 minutes. You all would understand me. So this is how valuable the ART system can be to you. What you are wasting, what you are leaking on email is money in your pocket or your firm's pocket. And it's certainly your time, whether it's your own revenue or the firm's revenue. So what we're seeing here is the majority of those on this call agree they're wasting between 30 minutes and 2 hours easily each day on email. And whatever that definition is for you for wasted time on email. So what does that translate to? Well, let's just talk about 20 minutes, 0.3 to 0.4. Everyone can agree 20 minutes is easily wasted on email. In fact, I didn't have anybody say, yeah, I don't waste any time on email. Yeah, that's easy. So 20 minutes a day wasted on email would equate to over 90 minutes of wasted time in a week. And over the course of a 48 work week year, so that's, taking 4 weeks off for holidays and PTO or whatever, a 48 work week year, if you're leaking 20 minutes a day on email, you are losing 80 hours of time. Now multiply that by how many hours you estimate it for yourself. Were you an hour? If you bill out at $500 an hour, that is $40,000 of revenue by leaking 20 minutes a day. So I want to talk about Nellie for a moment. Nellie is the head partner in the Assurance and Advisory Department of Frank Rimerman CPA. And Nellie was one of the first students of mine for the ART system. She had over 11,000 emails in her inbox. And after implementing ART, she finishes most days with less than 10 emails in her inbox. Now, Nellie is somebody who manages a team of about 15 people. And she also gets emails from the firm, which is a large CPA firm with 600 employees, and she gets emails from clients. And so her volume of email is really high. And yet with the ART system, with a different way of thinking, she finishes most days with less than 10 emails in her inbox. And I want to just draw attention to what she said in the middle. She felt as though time expanded when she learned how to organize her inbox. So one of the ways in which you might be leaking time on email is by this. If you have these notifications turned on, then you are undoubtedly reacting to messages when they come in. One of the core concepts of the ART system, which I will talk about when I get into ART in a moment, is I want you to make quick decisions. There are 3 what I call easy button decisions when it comes to managing your inbox. And I want those to be a touch once philosophy. You get the message, you make the decision, you move the message. so that what's left are the emails, the correspondence that is not quite as easy to decide or do or reply to. And so if you have notifications turned on, and obviously I'm showing Outlook, and most of the time I'm going to show Outlook, Gmail, all of these same functionality is available to you. There just might be a little bit different terminology, but it's still notifications. If you have those turned on, maybe without even realizing it, your attention is getting pulled to your inbox each and every time you get a message. And if you're thinking right now, yeah, well, maybe Sarah, but I don't even pay attention to those gray boxes. Or maybe you're thinking, well, I pay attention to it, but I look at it, like I see Denise emailed me a request for update regarding project plan, but I don't actually click into it because I'm not working on that right now. Or maybe I click into it and I handle it. But you can imagine, even with just that scene I set, your eyes are shifting and you are losing your maximum productivity time, pulling it away from whatever it is you're working on, racking up those leaked time by not managing your email effectively. So the first tip I like to give people in the ART system is to turn off notifications. And in Outlook, this is where I'm going to talk through it quickly. At the end, I'm going to give my contact information. You are more than welcome to email me if you're like, can you just send me a little Loom video and show me where to get here? But I am going to talk through it quickly. You would go up to File, Options, Mail. And when you get there, right in the center of that box, right in the center of that real estate, you'll see the box I have on a screen. And you probably have 1, 2, or 3 of those boxes checked. I encourage you to uncheck all of them. And if you are also thinking, I can't turn off my notifications, I need to be responsive to my clients, or I need to be responsive to the partners in my firm, I'm going to challenge you again and say, do you also need to get deep work done? Do you need to get research done, or drafting memos or briefs, or turning documents? And if that's the case, you have to turn off these notifications. You can't afford to leave them on. And instead, I recommend a tool called a time timer. These are really, really great to see time. I use this all day long. I set my time timer, and you have to define what is your length of time that you can work uninterrupted and then check email. So if it's a day where you are expecting an urgent message from another partner or a client, maybe you're saying I can work in batches of 20 minutes and then my eyeballs need to look at my email. But if it's a normal day where you're not really expecting any urgent messages, maybe you can work in batches of 30 minutes or an hour, uninterrupted, ultimately getting the right things done and not leaking so much time managing your inbox. For Gmail, it's up in settings, and then all settings, notifications, just to mention it for my Gmail friends. And I'm sorry, I don't know where it is in Apple Mail because I'm an Android user, so I do not have an Apple. Okay, how does the ART system work? How does it help you mitigate some of that stress and overwhelm and make those quick decisions? I am in the San Francisco Bay Area, and the Jelly Belly factory is a short drive away over in Fairfield. So pre-COVID, I would take my young sons to the Jelly Belly factory where you see the life cycle of a jelly bean. And at the end of the tour, they drop you into the gift shop where you're greeted with Jelly Belly paraphernalia. And one of the top sellers is what you're seeing on the screen here. It's that Jelly Belly variety pack. It's fun, it's colorful, it's flavorful. So you buy this Jelly Belly variety pack and you get out to your car and you open it up and you immediately start finding that favorite flavor. I like the pinks. I like my bubble gums and my cotton candies. So I'm looking for my pinks. And when I think I've exhausted my pinks, I might move on to that second favorite flavor, maybe the Tutti Fruttis or the coconuts. And as I'm getting lower and lower into this bag, I realized that I missed a cotton candy or a bubble gum or a coconut. And ultimately, at the very bottom of the bag, what I'm left with are the flavors that I can't pay anybody to take off my hands, like the toasted marshmallows or the buttered popcorns. And I'm sorry, I have a big room here today. I'm confident I have insulted somebody with that. So what if I told you that instead of buying the Jelly Belly variety pack, what if I just bought my juicy pear or my cotton candy or my sizzling cinnamon? And every time I reached into the bag, I knew exactly what flavor I was getting, ultimately reducing my decision fatigue. So let's talk about email. And this dashboard might look familiar to some of you. What we're looking at here is the Outlook dashboard, where we might have reading pane open on the right. On the left, you have folder structure, and you might have some blue bullet numbers mixed in there. And then in the middle, you've got your metadata. Who sent you the message, when they sent it, maybe some flags. And for my Gmail users, I just want to point out, we're looking at a very similar bones to the layout of the technology. The main difference being on the left, we call those labels, not folders. And in the middle, we have stars instead of flags, but it's still a way to code and track and organize messages. But does anybody else, I'm going to go back to the Outlook one, does anyone else looking at this find it to be a little distracting, noisy, overwhelming? I'm getting some hand raise. I'm assuming it's in reaction to what I'm saying. I don't know where I want to put my attention. I don't know what I should focus on. I am wasting so much time just trying to figure out if I should read what's open on the right, prioritize my unread in the center, but what about all those unreads on the left and the flags? I don't even know where to begin how to approach this inbox. And this is your mixed Jelly Belly pack. You have too many flavors in your inbox if you have a lot of messages hanging out in your inbox. You are working way too hard trying to ascertain what is that high priority bubblegum from that very low priority toasted marshmallow. And this Jelly Belly variety pack, it just keeps filling up on you. And so you're triaging and moving and flagging and focusing on emails all day long. And at least with Jelly Belly beans, we got big bright colors that are fun. With your email, it all looks similar. So I want to take you from inbox Jelly Belly variety pack to inbox intentional. Inbox where your easy decisions get out of the way, and what's left are the emails that you still need to act on, do something, waiting on something, which is what the ART system is based on. It's your inbox single Jelly Belly flavor. And that's through what I created called ART. So I want to find out how many, I don't care about read or unread, by the way. Okay, unread, all that's telling me is I just haven't opened it. But with the ART system, and what we're going to talk about learning the ART system next, is every email in your inbox is a decision that has not been finalized because it's still in your inbox. Okay, so the ART system encourages you to make those decisions, the touch once philosophy on the 3 easy ones, and then what's left are the ones that require some further thought or attention. So what I'm concerned about is how many total emails are in your inbox. So for my Outlook friends, if you have your Outlook open, you're welcome to go look. If you're clicked on your inbox, the bottom left of the screen is going to have a little image that's like what I have on the screen. It says items. That's the number I'm asking about. For Gmail, it's usually upper right, and it'll say like 1 out of however many thousand or 100 or whatever. So you have it open. If not, just take a guess. But I want to know how many total emails are in your inbox. How many jelly beans are still sitting there for you to decide on? Give it a few more seconds. It's a big variety coming in. I don't know if you've ever been a host of a meeting, but you can see all the responses coming in. It's quite fun. Okay, give it a few more seconds. Looks like we have a pretty good response. So I'm going to close that poll and share that. So we're a good mix here in the group, really good mix. Less than 20, you can just leave. You're good. No, you still can learn some stuff. Less than 20, that's a pretty healthy inbox. Even 21 to 100 is good, but if you're on the closer to the 100 side, that's still 100 decisions to be made. Am I reading this? Am I replying to this? Am I doing this? Am I going to this? Am I listening to this? Am I watching this? Do I care about this at all? And then anything over that 100, those again are decisions in your inbox that have not been done or moved or decided on. So, all right, let's keep going. So what is ART? Okay, ART is based off of a productivity philosophy called the 5 Ds. Does anyone, you can raise your hand if you're familiar with the 5 Ds method. David Allen talks about it in Getting Things Done, GTD. Okay, we'll see no reactions. Either the raise hand function was harder to find, or maybe no one's familiar with the 5 Ds. So let me explain what the 5 Ds are. So this is the idea that as a human being, here are your choices of what to do with any task or action you need to take. This is everything from brushing your teeth to reviewing a purchase agreement. So your options are, you can do the action. And in fact, David Allen says, if it's going to take you 30 seconds to 3 to 4 minutes, just do that action right now. You can delay the action. So it's something you're going to do, but you can't or won't be doing it until some point in time in the future. You can diminish the action, that is to break it down. So diminish usually indicates it's a project and that you're going to attack it either in sections or over time. You can delete or delegate the action, excuse me, I gave you the last one. You can delegate the action, that is to give the next action to somebody else and then get something back to unlock bottlenecks. And then lastly, you can delete the action, not do it, decide not to do it. And I want to just pause for a moment. I want to let you know, I mentioned in the beginning, the expectation was about 40 minutes of content. What I failed to mention is I am going to leave time at the end for Q&A because usually this elicits a lot of questions. So please feel free to put your questions in the Q&A and I will go through those at the end of the program today. So just wanted to say that. Okay, so with any action you take, these are your choices. Do it, delay it, diminish it, delegate it, delete it. Fight me on that. So with email, it's no different. Email is somebody communicating something to you in your inbox because they want your attention. And your options are the same. You can do it. You can do it in the future. It's a huge project being emailed to you and you need to approach it over time or in sections. Maybe you're waiting on somebody else to get you something to then take action on that email, or maybe you're just not going to do anything with that email. So that leads me to what ART stands for, which is action, reference, tracking, and trash. And I'm going to go a layer deeper into these and connect these, okay? So action, reference, tracking, trash. This is what ART stands for. Now, what is it? Well, an action email is one that you need to do something on. And the simplest way I can say an action email is, let's say, for example, you are preparing for a call with a client at 3:30 today, and an email comes in, your time timer goes off, you go, you check your email, and you have an email from the client, and she's asking, what time are you calling me? And you just know right off the top of your head, it's at 3:30. So you can hit reply and say 3:30 and take that action. So that's an example of an email in which case you just need to do something. And then ultimately you can check the box, you handled that email. But I want to also reframe your thinking about email with the ART system. So I keep repeating, the ART system is based on a touch once philosophy, make the decision when possible. And there are 3 easy buttons when it comes to email. From this point forward, I want you to have a different frame of thinking that every single email that hits your inbox starts off as an action email because it came into your inbox because somebody wanted your attention and you have to decide what next. Is it action? Is it do, delay, diminish, delegate, delete, or one other choice, which we're going to talk about in a second? Now, in the ART system, I have two types of reference emails. The first of which is what I call reference actionable. This is your delay. This is because it's an email where you can't or won't take action until some point in time in the future. So your action has a delay to it. So you want to reference this email in time in the future to take action. Reference actionable. Examples of reference actionable emails are date-specific reference actionable emails, such as an email with a webinar you signed up for tomorrow at noon, a hotel confirmation, an airline confirmation, a client who says, can you call me at 5 o'clock? These are examples where the email is communicating an action that you need to take action on in the future. So you want to reference that email to take action in the future. But of course, we also have reference actionable emails that are not date and time specific. For example, a partner emails you and says, I'd like you to research this issue for the client. Okay, well, it's actually a diminish. It's a big project, but the first action you're going to take on it might be Monday is the first opportunity. Yeah, right, Sarah, you've worked with partners that you can't wait till Monday to take action. Okay, maybe this afternoon you might take action. So this is an email where you're not going to do it right this moment. You're in the middle of something else, but you want to reference that email in time in the future to take action. Now, as I said, there are two types of references in the ART system. So the second type of reference is reference archival. This is the one where there is no action, but you want to save that email. And this is the bulk of probably what's in your inbox. So that's what the labels and folders are for, is to create your filing cabinet to store the emails that no longer require you to take action, but you might want to reference them. We can't take actions in time in the past, but we might want to reference materials in time in the past, which is why reference archival is the only part of the ART system that means there's no more action to be taken, but we just want to file and save that message. So hopefully everyone's following along. And of course, if you have a question, please feel free to put it in Q&A now so that you don't have to remember it. I will do the remembering for you when I pull it up at the end of the program, okay? That leads me to the first T in the ART system, tracking. This is your delegate. Now, we normally think of delegate as the example I just gave. If you were the partner and you emailed the associate and said, can you please research this issue for the client? I've now delegated out the next action to the associate. But with email, we delegate out a lot more than that. We delegate out maybe an invoice to be paid. We delegate out a question to the client for RFAs that we're preparing. Maybe we delegate out a document to be signed, a declaration to be signed, or a contract. Maybe we delegate out an assignment. So these are examples with an email. We're delegating the next action, but we want to track that email to make sure we get back what we need so that we don't wake up in the middle of the night and go, I never got that signed declaration back, or I never got that invoice paid. And so with the ART system, with the way I recommend managing your emails and organizing them, you can still keep your finger on the pulse, even when that next action is not necessarily in your court yet. Okay, the last T in the ART system is trash, delete. That is the easiest one for me to connect the wheel to the square, but it is one of the hardest ones for us to do. We think we're going to read all those digests. We think we're going to watch all those webinar replays or listen to all those podcasts. And when you're setting up the ART system, you start to collect those, I want to watch this or read this or listen to this, and you realize that you've got 37 of them, and they're an hour each. So unless you're going to spend that week between Christmas and New Year's getting caught up on all those I want to read, I want to listen, I want to watch, my recommendation is to be more comfortable with the delete button, and it'll come back into your orbit when it becomes a priority again. So I skipped over diminish if you're following my wheel, and that's because diminish indicates it's a project. So that is something that you're probably doing in sections or over time. And of course, we get projects emailed to us all the time. Again, that example, I need you to research this issue, is typically going to be a project. So it would fit into the ART system and how I'm going to show you how to organize your folders or your labels, depending on where the next triggered action is going to be. But what I do at Firm Focus, ART is one of my programs that I teach and train on, and I have a course available for, but I also coach lawyers on time management. And so if you are using your inbox as a to-do list, then that is contributing to some of that leaked time and that stress and overwhelm. So really your to-do list should be, it could be pen and paper. I've got clients that use pen and paper or an old-fashioned tickler system, or it might be a productivity app or a project management app like Asana, Basecamp, Trello, Todoist, Write, Monday.com. These are just some of the options available on the market. Or for my Outlook users, my personal favorite, Microsoft Planner, which is already available to you right now today as part of your Microsoft Suite package. If you just go to tasks.office.com, tasks.office.com, you can go there now. Don't go there now because you're still learning about ART, but I'll happy to put that resource in the chat box, but tasks.office.com, and you have a project management system already available to you. Or you can email me if you have any questions on how to access it. But that's where you should be, that's where your projects should live and manage there, so that email gets back to what it's designed for, which is just communication and not necessarily managing your projects and tasks. Okay, I just talked a lot about ART, and I want to show it in a different perspective. And you did get this as a handout, so you do have this available to you, or you will get it after the program ends, excuse me. So what I just talked about is the ART system boiled down into this workflow. You get an email in that blue box, right? And I want you to ask yourself, is this email actionable? Do I need to do anything with this email? And if the answer is no, to the left, it's really as simple as, am I keeping it or not? Will I need it in the future or not? And if that's the case, either you're filing it, that's your reference archival, or you're deleting it. We can ask ourselves, is this email actionable? Yes. And if you can do it right now, then take that action. Where we get into the meat and potatoes of the ART system is if we follow the flow chart to the far right. Is it actionable? Yeah. Can I do it now? No. No, in fact, I'm running into a deposition in half an hour. So, or I'm waiting on somebody else, or it's a huge project, or I'm just not in the frame of mind to like think about what my answer is, even if it is a short answer. And so that's where it's not a touch once philosophy with that message. And we want to organize and make your life easier with what to do with those emails. Steve Harris is the president and CEO of Harris Private Wealth. And he was in, if anyone's familiar with provisors, he was in a provisors meeting in a breakout session when he said that email was his biggest pain point. In fact, he said that he received high volumes of email. He needed the emails to get to the right people, and he didn't want to rely on himself to make sure they got there. He wanted to be more responsive, and his ultimate goal was to take a vacation and not check email at all. Now, Steve manages a team of 10 other financial planners and staff members. And he came to me to learn ART after someone in that group recommended it. After an ART Customized for Me session, he reported, I am so happy with the new Outlook methodology. I've achieved a very low inbox and I'm much more organized. Later, we had a second session and he said, I need you to work with everyone in my company. And so the next person I worked with was his assistant. And I met with her and she had over 50,000 emails in her inbox. And I knew she would because Steve had a rule set up that said every single message I get needs to go to her. Can you imagine being that assistant? Every message had to go to her, but she was missing things. Of course she's missing things because she was getting copied on all of Steve's emails and her own. So I worked with her on ART, and in checking with her, she said, my inbox looks a lot better now at 30 items. Then I checked in with Steve again, and he said, your email is the only one in my inbox. The system you've helped me implement has given me control of my email, my to-do list, and my calendar in a way I've been hoping to find for years. I can't emphasize enough how much this has impacted my state of mind in facing the inbox each day. And the crucial part of this, I checked in with Steve last month, and he said, right now I have 15 emails. I usually get it down to 0 most days. It's working great. I went to Portugal and did not check my work email one time for 18 days. Now, remember, if you're also thinking like, God, that would be impossible, but that may not be your goal. His goal was to go on vacation and not check email. And we achieved that with the ART system. Thank you for your expert guidance. My work life continues to be under control thanks to your counsel. So what else is ART? What ART is not an add-on. It's not a plugin. It's not something you have to buy. It's just a way of thinking. And that's what the course covers from soup to nuts. And hopefully already today, what I've introduced to you is just connecting some of those dots going, I don't think I ever thought about it in terms of do it in the future, needing something back. And so ART is about taking the technology that's already available to you, what the engineers have already created for you, but understanding what your behavior is in organizing the messages and in using that technology. So ART's about using your folder structures primarily to set up a way of organizing the messages for those emails that are not the touch once philosophy. I want to show for just a moment, I'm going to jump over and show the course. I thought I was, and oh, here it is. I'm sorry about that delay. So just to show the course real quick, which as I mentioned, it is available in both Outlook and Gmail. And the course is soup to nuts, completely setting up the ART system. So what you would expect there is a total of 14 modules. And the modules have micro learnings, like 3-minute videos up to 7 minutes. So it's not something you have to necessarily sit down and take the entire course. You can come back to it as you set up each section. So it takes you through the welcome and intro, the relationship and mindset, getting into that high level of ART, some of which we touched on today, and then ultimately setting up the ART system in your inbox. Because there's maybe someone in the room right now who says, I have folders, I use them, I've got a lot, they work great. In which case, the ART system may give you a suggestion on how to organize them differently, but it's not going to say, here's how you have to set them up. And I have other people in the room that might say, yeah, I don't really use folders. I would never sit and organize anything in detail. That's okay too. In fact, I have one client who said that. So all we created for him is a folder called Inbox Reviewed. That's his reference archival. And then we created a quick step that says, yep, I saw this message, but I want to keep it. I saw this message and I want to keep it. I kind of visualize it like a garage, like, oh, I might need this. I want to keep it, but let me just stick it in the garage. So if that works for you, that's okay. I personally like to file more detailed, but you don't have to. It's not going to make you do that. But ultimately, that this is the beef of the ART system, is setting up your reference archival, your actions, your reference actionable, your tracking, and your trash and diminish, as well as getting into the calendar. Notice there are 4 topics on the calendar. And as you're going through the journey of the ART course, your roadmap stays with you on the left, and any handouts or pre-work is clearly labeled for you during the course as well. So if you have an interest in, also the calendar tells you about, it demonstrates using categories, and the whole course itself has really cool technology in both Outlook and Gmail that you may not even be aware of in the software that's available to you and can help you maximize your time. So, and the ART course, just to jump over here for a moment, you can find it at artemail.com. And the ART courses start at $159. And I'm also going to give you a discount code at the end here today as well, for anyone who might be interested in that. Okay, let me jump back over to PowerPoint now. So as I said, ART is not any add-on. It's nothing that you need to download. It's just a way of thinking and then organizing your inbox based on those easy touch once philosophy, which I will cover in a moment. James Clear is the author of Atomic Habits. If anyone's read that book, it's a great book. And he says, what's one decision you can make today that will save you from making 10 more decisions in the future? Make the choice that eliminates other choices. So again, this idea of the ART system, this when you can touch an email one time, do so. So my first easy button is your reference archival. Your reference archival is the emails that have no action, but you want to save them because you might want to reference them in time in the past. And so the sample on this is a sample. I want you to understand this is not you. If you screenshot this or whatever, this is going to look different for every person in the room, because how you organize your folders or your labels is unique to you, and you might call things differently. For example, in my sample here, clients might be for most people in the room, but under organizations, I have things like Beverly Hills Bar Association, other bar associations I belong to or speak at, Provisors, National Speakers Association, NAPO. So for me, those are all together under organization. But for you, maybe you're separating them. Maybe you have associations as a category, and maybe something like Provisors or BNI would be business development, or maybe it's marketing, or maybe it's resources. So the terminology might look different. And I realize I'm a little bit of a step ahead. The reason you're not seeing a long list of folders is I do recommend categories for your reference archival. I want you for a moment just to have you visualize this. You walk into your kitchen. You walk into your kitchen. So if you imagine yourself walking into that kitchen in your home, and I ask you to get me a bowl. You're probably going to walk over to a cabinet and open the cabinet and pull out that bowl for me. So the reason we have cabinets or drawers is so we can collect things together that have common themes or common groupings. And that is what I'm also recommending with your reference archival, because it also creates a much crisper real estate in your inbox. And if you're looking for a folder, you know this is marketing or this is clients, and you can find things easier. And then in my personal email, I use ART every day. My resources is actually quite long, but I know if I'm looking for this other consultant that I collaborate with, I'm going to find her under resources. But again, your categories, your cabinets might have different names, and the course has a worksheet for you to help figure that out. The reference archival, emails that have no action, notice no blue numbers down there. No unread messages, because there's nothing that's triggering my brain I need to do anything. It's just down there safely filed if I need to reference it. And that's the first easy button. And to follow our flow chart, is it actionable? No. Do you want to keep it? Yes. Easy button number 1. Okay, easy button number 2. Is it actionable? No. Do I want to keep it? No. Get rid of it. Get it out of your inbox. Those toasted marshmallow jelly beans do not need to take up space in your inbox anymore. But as a quick caveat to this decision, do I want to keep it or not? I want it to be a split-second decision. And if it's not a split-second decision, I want you to default to reference archival and just get it down in your filing cabinet. And your quick and easy decision number 3, is it actionable? Yeah. Can I get it done right now? Yes. Then let's do it. Where you're going to touch email more than once, where you're going to probably look at that message again, is when it is something you need to do in the future. It's a project. It's something you need something back. Or in some cases, it is an action email, but you are just not thinking about that matter right now. You are working on a deposition and you just can't answer this other client about what time they need to show up at court tomorrow. But you're going to answer them later. So the action could be a 30-second action, but you're just not in a frame of mind to actually give that action now. And that's where the emails go into what I call action folders. And again, the course really covers these action folders, but just to let you know, the numbering is just a way of prioritizing. So that's why you're seeing a lot of 1s, 2s, and 3s. In the example on the screen, my ones are the ART system and my clients. My twos are my organizations, and my threes are the things I want to do in the future or my tracking. So those are your action folders or labels. And again, the course sets up like how to show total number of items in these folders. And as one last mention for this, I recommend not having more than maybe 12 to 15 action folders. The idea here is not to duplicate your entire inbox. It's just they're like sticky notes. Here's the most important stuff I have going on right now that still requires an action. And then when you don't need it anymore, you might delete that action folder. Okay, let me wrap up because I know I'm getting tight on time here and I promised you Q&A. So I'm going to kind of plow through this. Who ART is for are lawyers who want to capture more billable time, like Robin Christo of Epstein, Holtzapfel and Christo. It's for those in finance and tech who want to feel like time has expanded. And it's for physicians like Dr. Laird with 8 inboxes for the various hospitals she works at who want to make quicker decisions with their inbox. It's for anybody who uses email professionally. And it's finally a way to think differently about your inbox and conquer that inbox. So here's a code for 15% off the course. If you're interested, this will be good till the end of the year, 15 for BHBA. And if this inbox is okay, if you don't feel overwhelmed or distracted and you feel like you have things under control, you're not relying on search, and this mixed Jelly Belly pack is working for you, then that's okay. But if you want an intentional inbox, then I would encourage you to think about implementing ART in your inbox today. And now I'm going to check the Q&A. And while I do that, let me just pull up my contact. I welcome anybody to reach out to me. You can have a 30-minute discovery call if you're curious about project management trackers or ART or coaching. You are more than welcome to reach out to me. And if you just have a question, like Sarah, you mentioned this in Outlook, how do I set that up? I love getting those questions because if I haven't already filmed a little video on how to do it for my course resource library, then it's a great question that you're probably not the only one asking it. And I will film that and send you the answer and then add it to my resource library. Okay, so I'm going to go through these questions. Hi, Hayden, what about Apple Mail? I'm so comfortable with it, but it's not great. Yeah, I think I mentioned I don't know a ton about Apple Mail. I have worked with a few people with Apple Mail. I don't love the look of it and the functionality of it, and I don't know a lot about it. But as I said, the ART system is platform agnostic, so you can still apply the concepts to Apple Mail. Please connect with me one-on-one if you want to just pull your screen up and have me take a look if I didn't answer your question or you have a more specific question. Erin, hi Erin, lovely to see you. She swears by her time timer. Yes, I love it. Adrian, Microsoft Planner is only available through the MS365 platform. Do you know of any planner functionality within the Outlook Enterprise system that I use via my firm's server? So Adrian, if I'm not answering you specifically, again, reach out to me. But yes, Monday.com integrates pretty well. Asana integrates pretty well. Todoist integrates pretty well. For my Gmail friends, I have a lot of clients that I recommend GQs, which integrates pretty well. And Adrian, it might be right, but if you haven't already gone to tasks.office.com, I would try to go there, log into Microsoft, and just make sure that you don't actually have it, because a lot of people are surprised they do have it. Microsoft hides it, and they don't make it obvious. If you are on your Office account, it's not there. You will not find it there. You have to go to tasks.office.com. I don't know why. All right, Deborah, hi. I'm usually pretty good at keeping my email inbox at under 25 emails. However, I feel like every day and almost most of the day, I'm at a battle with my email. I spend a lot of energy on keeping my email inbox relatively clean, but it's draining with this battle. Do you have any suggestions? Tips for that is using rules, using quick steps. That will help. It's not going to eliminate it because, again, your inbox is people wanting your attention and you got a lot of people wanting your attention, but it can mitigate it. And where rules have broken in the past, I just want to be cognizant of time. Okay, I got 4 minutes. I can wrap up this thought. Where rules have broken in the past is people say, oh, I set up rules. I thought I was being really organized. And I said, oh, every time I get these emails, I want it to go into this client folder. Then you have all those blue bullet messages and you don't see them. And then it breaks and you go, I can't rely on rules. With the ART system, you have an action folder. You're still in control. There's still something you want to read or do. So you can use rules to help to allow Outlook to organize for you while still being in control. So some people prefer to do this for lower priority stuff, like maybe the association emails get sent to rules. So what's coming into your inbox or the client communication. If I didn't fully, again, answer that, please reach out to me and I'm happy to. Is zero inbox theory out of favor? Do you tell people not to send you immaterial thanks or okay or will do type emails? Isn't it true that responding to an email often generates many more, so it's better to ignore or not respond? Yeah, this gets a little into habits. So a lot of people feel very strongly about the will do, thanks. And you are absolutely correct. It is adding more emails to you. Sometimes you're just not going to change people's behavior. Maybe it's an assistant who just wants to be polite. Maybe it's a client. I have a philosophy, not inbox zero. We will never attain inbox zero. In fact, the second my client Steve said, your inbox or your email is the only one in my inbox, he was just at inbox zero and I screwed that up for him. So I call it inbox zen, because even though I added an email to his inbox by asking him, he made his quick decision. He replied to me. It was an action email. Your email is the only one in my inbox. Thank you for your tremendous support or help in my Outlook. Send, file the email. I'm back to inbox zen again. And yeah, you're not going to change people's behavior with thanks, okay, will do, but you can certainly, if it is somebody in your firm that you can ask them, please don't send those to me, then do so. Otherwise, you'll just have to, using the ART system, make that a quick decision email. Or maybe you set up a rule that if a email is only has the word thanks in the body, that it gets filtered out. You could set that rule up. That's why rules can be really great. ART seems to be forward-looking. Do you have any tips on clearing out the thousands of emails the majority of the audience currently have in their respective inboxes? Yes. I'm not going to pull back on the slide because it would take too long, but you may have noticed in my sample reference archival, there was a folder called Inbox Prior To. So I recommend starting with building your reference archival, because if you're going to clean up a messy desk and you have a messy filing cabinet, you have nowhere to put this stuff. So cleaning up the filing cabinet first is the best starting point. What I recommend is find a date that you're comfortable with to move your emails out of your inbox and into a folder I call Inbox Prior To. So right now we are December 15th. I would create inbox prior to October 31st. That's my time timer telling me that I'm at time. So Kathleen's going to maybe get mad at me. I'm going to wrap up this thought, Kathleen.
You're good. No rush. No rush.
Okay, good. So I would say October 31st. You are not deleting them. They're still completely searchable when you go up and search. They're just getting them out of your inbox so that the ART system works the best when you're feeling like you can pick up this philosophy. And if you have 500, 5,000, 50,000 emails, you're not going to pick up the ART because you just have too many in there. So if you move anything that's, let's say, October 31st of 2022, you're not deleting it. You're just not going through a fine-tooth comb and filing it and organizing it, and it'll still come up in searches. Then what you will have left, and actually October 31st might even be too late. You might want to even do November 30th. What you have left might be 300 emails that you can then practice this idea of the ART system to train your brain. Okay, this is a reference archival. This is when I need something back. And the course also helps you with much more detail, like with tracking. That's the delegate. If you're someone who CCs or BCCs yourself on email, that is your way of tracking that message. You're sending something and you're saying to yourself, maybe subconsciously, like, oh, I need this in my real estate. I need to be able to see this message to remember that I need something back. And so the ART system touches on what to then do with that message. I have 2 more left here. Kathleen, should I quickly run through them?
Yeah, sure. That'd be great.
Okay, great. I'm closing out several email addresses connected to a business I sold. Do you suggest forwarding all emails to one email address? That sounds like a lot of work that probably isn't necessary. If we're talking about Outlook, you can right-click on the mailbox and export it to a .pst, which basically zips it and creates it as its own mailbox that you could upload again into your new system. So you always have that record. That's one option in this scenario. I wouldn't sit and forward them all. I would have to probably diagnose that a little more one-on-one to come up with what would be the most efficient or best practice in that case. Obviously, it's a unique scenario where hopefully it's only kind of happening once, but feel free to reach out to me if I did not provide a helpful response and you want me to kind of look at your scenario a little bit more. Filing emails in archive takes forever. Any tips? Yeah, so if you're talking about setting up the ART system, then just do that inbox prior to. And I personally would not bother to like go through that, you know, it's like your messy desk and all old stuff on the back credenza that you just think, well, maybe one day I'll go through it, or I might have to dig through it and find something, but I'm not going to go through it right now. Let's just put it in bankers boxes and stick it in the room, in the corner of the room. Not ideal, but that's at least, you know, like, I don't have time to clean it out, but I want to clean off my messy desk and I want to start using my credenza intentionally. So that's what I'm trying to suggest for the inbox prior to. Now, as far as the practice each day of what I'm recommending for reference archival and filing, that's where you really have to ask yourself what kind of filer you are. On the one hand, will you file it detailed, or are you good enough with a file that says clients archival and you just get it all into that shoebox? There's also tools like Quick Steps that can help with that. If you file in specific folders on repeat, Quick Steps, which are that top real estate in your Outlook, and the course does talk about Quick Steps in great detail. Quick Steps are when you're doing stuff on repeat after you looked at the message. Quick Steps you can set up to do it for you. And it has really cool functionality. Like if you're constantly forwarding emails to your assistant and saying, please file this in NetDocs. Well, actually NetDocs integrates into Outlook, but let's say you're forwarding things, please file this in records, or please calendar this. You can set up a quick step. So with a tap of a button, the magic happens, including your email to your assistant. Hey, my favorite assistant ever, please calendar this email for me, or please file this in records, or please make sure this is saved in NetDocs. And with a tap of a button, Outlook will do all of that for you. I think that's all the questions I'm seeing. And since we are at time, I want to be very respectful of everyone's busy schedule. So again, my contact information is on the screen, and hopefully you can go and look at your inbox and make that inbox prior to folder if you are in that 200 plus emails in your inbox. And then with what's left, I would say just spend a little bit of time moving the messages based on this way of thinking so that the ART system can start to become effortless for you. And thank you so much for your time today.